There she is. You want to see if she wants to use the ramp? Well, hey there. How you doing? Well, it seems. That's the one it's on.
Is there anybody here from 321 Amarillo? Go far. Okay. Hey, so that I don't want to dinner right now. Prepare it.
I was waiting for the bell. There's the bell. Thank you. Good morning. Let's begin this month's meeting of the Tree Protection Board. We'll start with first welcoming back member Faye Campbell, who's had a slight absence, but we're happy to see her back. So the first item of business is the approval of last month's meetings. Are there any discussions, exceptions, changes?
Move to approve.
I'll second it. Motion passes. Minutes are approved. First item of business is old business 400. I always pronounce this incorrectly. Macamee Way. Is there a representative for that location here today? Would you like to come forward and speak?
We thought our Thompson Hutton rep would be here, but he's not. So I'm Ronnie Caldwell. I'm with Great Commission Baptist Church. This is our pastor, Mike Logston, and Robbie Robbins, who's one of our trustees. So we understand that you had questions about taking down all the trees. I think Thompson Hutton has submitted another drawing for you. Is that correct?
I am not aware of a second tree drawing.
Well, yeah, you can see here, he's overlaid the, our plans are to put a soccer field here. And in doing that, we'd like to take down most of the trees so our players don't run into trees. And with that, if you have any other questions, our pastor will speak, and then Robbie Robbins will also speak.
Bill, you want to give an evaluation on the tree situation, please?
It is some grand pine trees in the home site, and very healthy. I think some of our concerns again, some of the trees this is the first we, when y'all first submitted it, y'all didn't have, you just wanted to cut all the trees for ball field. So shown where the ball field goes. We wonder why you couldn't keep some trees around the outside of the area. You're gonna have
Well, we tried to keep as many as we could on the
far end.
far end.
That's where the walk is, the trail into the woods, correct?
Well, there's a trail, but that goes to private property, so that's not really,
But to the right of the trail as you come from Markme Way, the easiest way to access the property,
Yeah.
there's a trail. The trees to the right, is that part of your ownership?
yes, we go all the way to the end.
Okay, and those are where a significant, all those trees apparently are safe,
safe.
right?
So what we look at is all the other trees that were in the way and try to get those so we don't have players running into those. Now that field will be used for other things, which Pastor Mike can speak to. And so we tried to look at leaving any trees, you don't want to leave a single tree by itself near a house. And we also don't want players running into those trees.
Is this intended for full competition soccer where?
No.
Okay,
This is church, youth, children. We have other events in that open field, church-related things like that.
well, that's what I would have hoped. Because there's an opportunity, for instance, along the sidewalk to save some trees. If it isn't have to be a specific regulation width of the field.
This is a minimum width to get it in, and that's what he's shown here, that intersects those trees. We also would look at in the future planting, some other kind of shrubs or bushes in those places possibly.
Apologize.
He saw the clock.
This morning,
Fine, thank you.
just walked in. So right now, so we went through the DRB process. First stage of this was we were planning on taking all the trees out so that we could get larger steel that we could get in here. The comments that we received from the DRB was to maintain, try to save as many of the trees as we can, which is why we left the large cluster on the page left. So yeah, so we were planning on taking all those trees out. Figure we can do something nice over there, maybe have some tables and chairs or benches in that area. But for the park section, to get the feel that we can to be able to do any kind of sports related activities, these trees will need to be taken out.
Okay, well, what we were discussing before you came in was the possibility to leave a few more peripheral trees. Okay, that would be along the roadway. There's a couple of not very big oaks. There's some pine trees that are really close there. They're literally almost on the line. And then on the back side of the lot, the bottom of what we're looking at here, I see all kinds of trees getting cut down that are outside the perimeter of the soccer field.
Correct. So the ones on the lower side of the soccer field during our town public works meetings, we have to maintain a drainage swale so that we don't let that, the way the field drains now, it goes from plan north to south. We had to put a swale in there. I don't know if you have sheet C3.2. You can see, so there's the swell at the bottom of the field, and that water goes right to grade inlet number 14 there to allow for us to pick up that drainage and not let that spill onto the adjacent property. So for us to be able to do that, those trees would have to come out there.
And the drainage is to go, the swale is going to push drainage which way?
So the plan right, see the grade inlet 14 there, it
Okay,
flows through our pond system.
Number of people that don't realize, excuse me, how much water trees consume. There's something that number of trees. If we have to take that, if you were to take that many trees out, I feel like you don't have a water problem. And we're in the low country. So this is something of concern to eliminate that many trees. And knowing that. It's
So-
just going to happen.
I understand, and that's a great a statement there. So this site was master planned with the overall Limehouse subdivision. So we have numerous ponds and storage area for this site. And so with our calculations, we understand, how much flow will be coming off of that field, the pipe sizes that we need going to those ponds. We can maintain that same relationship so that we don't cause any problems.
do you know the actual acreage of the field itself?
The
Acreage.
field itself.
If I've missed it on my computer and on the reproductions that we have, some of these numbers are hard to read.
Now, let's say 135 by 340,
Well, you got to calculate it.
just roughly an acre. It's roughly an acre.
Okay.
1.05 acres.
The reason I'm getting at that is even for commercial or developments like this, there is a requirement for 20 trees per acre to be left. I suspect that's satisfied by field left as you described it.
Correct.
I just want to be sure of that. Because we see opportunities, particularly toward the backside field right toward the swale,
So
other side, I'm sorry.
the only thing with it, if we were to move the swale up, right? So if we were to try to save a row of those trees, that swale would shift probably 20+ feet plan north, which would then shrink our field even more.
Mhm.
I mean, we wouldn't be able to do honestly anything in that area. Say if we were to put the swale basically where the edge of the field line is now, I mean, that's roughly another 20 feet that we would lose on the swale.
Off to the far, as I look at it, would be bottom right. Very closely adjacent to the back of the soccer goal, the end zone. There is a cluster of pine trees there. Any thoughts about possibly saving them? There would be, one tree might be on the, just inside the box. Again, if this is not an official soccer field, I don't know. I mean, it's literally in the corner of the box. And then there's two others around it. Both of which fall inside what I think is probably the berm swale line. If I had a cursor, I could point it out, but basically that cluster right there. Yeah, right. Would any consideration be given to that? As well as I still say, the ones right along the street, there's a couple, if you're going to plant something else in time, it would be, excuse me, running into condition in the future, albeit not a tree, but maybe a large shrub, if that's the concern for the trees right along the way.
And I think the trees along the line is also a safety issue, but I mean,
Is it what?
a safety issue if we're playing, fields out there, kids, and I mean, they're running with a tree right at the edge of the line. I don't know how
No, you'd move the line.
anything, we're trying to save as many trees as we can. We shrunk the field down as much as we could. I mean, at this point in time, if we shrink anything else, I mean, the field would be used.
How many feet across is that? No, I think it's
Which was 340 by 135, and I think it's roughly 160 from property line to property line, north, west to south, or west to east. Sorry.
okay. Well, those are my thoughts. I would greatly love to see an effort to at least save a cluster of, there's some decent trees in there, there's grand trees. And just a thought. If this is not to be a professional level, competitive level soccer field, there's other fields around town that you see, but there's a cluster of trees left in a corner. Well, if the ball hits it there, maybe it will bounce off maybe, but the attractivity and the beneficence of a cluster of trees at the corner of a property like that is, to us, rather important. Any other discussion?
Well, I have a question that's probably, you've already been considered, but I need to ask it. If my understanding is correct, then the plan is to build the recreational field or the field first and then build the church later. Is that correct?
So the first phase will have the sports field and the fellowship hall
Right.
and associated parking. Then the church will come second phase.
So the question in my mind is that, has any thought been given to just flip-flopping the sites? Putting the soccer field on the area that's already clear to a large extent, remove the trees on the end, and then install the buildings in and among the trees that are on this lot? Has that been thought of at all? It certainly would make, in my mind, it would make for a much more picturesque building and a cooler building environmentally, as well as eliminating the need for the removal of all these trees, which are benefiting not only this site, but the entire area environmentally.
So you're saying switch the field or the church over to where the field is?
Uh-huh.
I mean, if we're gonna do that, it's gonna be the same loss, right? We're gonna be moving the pond, the parking lot, and the building over to the tree areas. I mean,
Well, I mean, you're the professional with Thompson Hutton, and I understand that, but certainly there might be a way to nestle without reducing the size and the impact of the building that the congregation is looking for in and among those trees. And leaving some trees as opposed to just wholesale getting rid of them. I think a talented designer could probably do that with ease. So that was my question. Had any thought been given to that? And it seems like a worthwhile thought to me.
I don't think we thought of that, but I think the way that we laid the church out, to account the existing neighborhood, the way those, the open space across the street played into this, and the site was kind of laid out with the town's input in the DRB process. So since 2008, I mean.
Well, okay. If it's not going to be considered, that's fine.
Yeah.
It was a question that I had, and I think one worthy of consideration, but.
That's because, again, we would be tree protection board, and our mission is to save as many trees as we can for all the reasons that
Yes,
Danny
sir.
just mentioned. So
Yes, sir.
you have to understand that's where we come from. That's why.
I totally understand.
How did it go with the DRB? Did you get receive approval?
We have approval. Yes, sir.
David, got anything to say? David? Any
Okay.
any comments? Any more comments?
Is there a possibility that you could maybe consider flip-flopping the plans in an effort to conserve trees? Again, we are a tree protection board. That you could do something like that, you'd need more time, of course. And perhaps we could table this until you consider that. Is that a possibility?
No. So I think that we've already looked at the different options, and this is one that we fell on, especially with the DRB and the church staff. I think this is kind of this is the scenario that we want to put forward with church in this location.
Yeah, with DRB approval, that's true. The only thing I would add is I would like to hopefully at least take the opportunity and see if there isn't some possibility to save a cluster of trees here or there.
I think we can talk and look at
Okay.
the plan again and see what we can do.
Just to say whatever we can, it fits, it doesn't compromise the plan of the property anymore. Okay,
I belong to a church where we've got trees in the parking lot. And that this is a good thing. People will choose to park close to that tree so that they can have shade in the summer. And hopefully when they come back, that their car is a little bit cooler than some of the others. But trees in a parking lot are an advantage and are, the idea is to save as many as you can.
Yes. And
Some of those, the finest sacred.
we'll take a look at the plan again and see what we can do to save as many as we can. But the church location is, I would say, we'll look at trying to save some clusters here and there.
thank you. Yeah,
to see what we
I'd
can do.
appreciate that. Yeah,
Yes.
I think it'll be more attractive if you do. Okay. Is there anyone else that want to speak?
I think they hit on.
Okay. Okay. Anyone want to make a motion? I'll make a motion. Make a motion that we approve the tree removal with the understanding that y'all will try and look for opportunities to save some of the larger, in this case, it's mostly pine trees, where it's possible. That's the motion. Have a second.
I'll second.
Let's vote on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Don't very much.
Next order of business, 403 North Gum Street is a representative for Gum Street. Morning.
I'm Wes Reynolds. I'm with CBC of Charleston. We're the contractor, been hired by the owner to construct a warehouse on this property. We're requesting the removal of the oak tree. We have received the DRB. We've been through zoning, we're approved there. We have concerns about this tree, the root system. We have to do some excavation for the foundation. And then in addition, this tree is very close to two existing buildings that are already there. Front building and also the Smith Deluxe Cleaners. It's about 13 feet from Smith Building, about 12 feet or so from existing 403 Gum
Right.
Street, and also about 18 feet from the new building as well. So it's going to be in the cluster between the three buildings. This is a very tall tree right now. We're concerned in the future that the limbs are overhanging all three buildings, and in addition, tree comes down later, it'll damage the existing property. The property owners want the tree removed. Smith Cleaners would like the tree removed. Both of them are here today. And we're proposing, I have a revised landscape plan for this. We're proposing to place this tree with 2 crepe myrtles in the backyard area. I didn't submit it, but I have some plans if you'd like to look at, showing the locations.
Well, we appreciate mitigation. It's not usually in the form of crepe myrtles, it's in the form of canopy trees, but let me first get to Bill's evaluation of the tree, please.
It's a
We've
very
all seen the
healthy
tree.
water oak. Water oaks usually aren't healthy. This one's a very healthy tree. I did not see any problems with this tree when we evaluated it. It's so as of right now, I mean, you could use some maintenance of cleaning up some of your limbs in it, and it takes maintenance to maintain trees. If not, you do have limbs fall out of trees, you know. But that is, right now, is a very healthy tree, especially for its size and age of a water oak.
We've all seen the tree, we've been there. In fact, we marveled at its condition of being a water oak. It's probably the healthiest one we've ever seen. Absent of decay and rot and all that kind of stuff that they get. But it truly is in a close place. So you say you have DRB approval for this plan?
Yes, sir.
So it obviously satisfied the impervious surface requirement and didn't exceed it?
That wouldn't be in the DRB's purview, but that would be reviewed by the zoning administrator at the time of permitting.
Oh, so that's not been decided yet.
I'm not aware of that. Have you been working with Tim McCall, sir?
Right.
Did you
We
go,
have- We've not applied for the permit yet. We just received the zoning approval.
so you went before the Board of Zoning Appeals?
Yes.
And what was the variance for that y'all were requesting?
I don't know, we requested a variance. We received the zoning meeting.
Okay, I'll check into that real quick. Did you talk to Tim about this at all?
Well, if there's not a permit or approval of the building size and shape and all, then
But we have approval of that.
well, I'm hearing as if there's something else that might be required.
I'm gonna try to get our zoning administrator up here.
And you'll be building this, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. It seems so out of proportion to the house and the rest of the property. If the confines of the building were reduced to the width of the current brick house, that might even save the tree. What's amazing is the tree has not been disruptive in all its years on this planet, if you will, to the foundation of the brick house. And I guess, I don't know if Davis Martinizing had a problem with the foundation or anything like that with the tree, we surely would have heard about it. Because that's always a concern for us as well as obviously the landowner. So
She's saying they have had some issues with the foundation.
That corner of the foundation, I can't prove it's from the tree right now, but that had to have the corner of the house shored up.
are you the owner?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it happened right before we purchased it, but they did have to have foundation up to fix a cracked joist in that corner of the house.
A
So,
wooden joist?
Yes,
Does that have a, it's a slab, isn't it? Or is it a crawl space
there's.
That has a crawl space.
with a footer? Presumably. Or is it so
I haven't
old, maybe they don't
I
even
haven't
have 'em.
studied the existing house.
Okay, well, I'm just,
Tim's on his way up here.
okay.
And the wooden stakes that were in the yard, that was the footing of where the buildings will actually go, that were around in the backyard.
Yeah, approximate location of building corner.
So the one that was right by the oak tree is where the buildings will go.
I'm not sure which one you were looking at.
I think it moves, that's it.
Okay,
It's about 18 feet. I think I have a picture.
there was a picture that
It was
showed,
originally 30 by 60, when we was trying to get the 30 by 50.
it might be the one right there with 26. Yeah, the wooden stake.
No, not that one. That was
Okay.
the original one at 30 by 60.
That's
10
what-
feet over
So the new stake, how far is that from the tree?
18 feet from the edge of the tree.
Morning. Just to let you know, at the April 21st DRB meeting, 403 North Gum did get final approval for the construction of the warehouse storage building. We did not address the trees at that meeting. Obviously, that's not their purview beyond landscaping, but they did get approval for the construction of the building. So the conditions were mostly related to the construction of the building and what it was going to look like. They did not specifically address impervious because it doesn't exceed. There's no need for any variances. The building, they lowered the height of the building, so they're well within what's permitted from a zoning standpoint for the construction of that extra building there on the property.
Okay. Is there a new drawing showing? Do we have any? Oh, is this it, Becca?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
It was originally 30 by 60.
Right. Well, we were just looking at, when we visited, we were looking at the stakes that
Yeah.
David just pointed out that. Okay. Thoughts, Danny?
Well, if it's my thought, my initial thought is that if the construction line is 18 feet from that tree, and that is the primary excavation that'll occur, that tree might very well survive that construction. And with that in mind, I don't see a need to remove it. Unless I'm missing something, and I don't think that I am. That's my thought.
I tend to agree with you. Based on where the footing of the building is, it has kind of changed what I was thinking. I thought the building was going to encompass most of the root system of the
Yeah.
oak
Right,
tree.
me too.
I think the concern was that if there is an issue with it afterwards, it's gonna be wedged in between those three buildings and then they won't be able to get to it. Or it would be very difficult to get to it.
Well, that's true. It would be more difficult. As old and as healthy as the tree is, I'm not sure that it will become a difficulty. It will cost more to bring it down, in small sections, yes. But you have to appreciate that the ease of the future possible removing of a tree cannot motivate us terribly much about removing a tree now. It's a relevant concern. We've had it before. If this were not a substantial, healthy tree, I would be more inclined to agree that something could happen from the construction and disruption. If I were to be concerned about something, it'd be more if there is any evidence that the tree is compromising the existing brick house with its proximity, i.e. the foundation. Been there a long time, and if it hasn't done it, if it isn't the reason for the problem in the house, it's gonna be there a lot longer and but probably not get terribly much bigger. So I agree with the fact that the 18 feet is probably not going to be a compromise. That's bringing the whole tree, the whole building this way, right, away from the tree by 18 feet on a straight line parallel to the back lot of the property.
It's from the edge of the tree to the corner of the building. Trees approximately up there.
You mentioned something about the root system toward the house and how somebody had to make some adjustments in the foundation.
There was some damage to the foundation. It was repaired. I don't have any proof that it was from the tree, but I do know that the foundation that had to come out and do 2 repairs to the foundation in that corner. So, but I don't have any actual proof that it was from the tree.
If the former owner, I realize that's history, former owner,
Right.
but if they had root pruned at the foundation of the home, that would eliminate any kind of problem from the tree and threatening the foundation. That just would not have happened. And the root pruned back toward the house, not at the tree, but at the house. So if you want to talk to somebody about that, that'd be good.
It'd be considerably less expensive to do that. There's procedures to go by, barriers to put up if in fact, but surely if the repair was made and it was because of the tree, surely that would have been made known and been obvious when they went under. So, anything else? Any friends want to make a motion? I'll make a motion.
No, I move to not approve removal of this tree.
I'll second that and recommend that the tree does need some pruning and shaping up But other than that, it's healthy.
Okay, motion on the table. All approve the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. But I would have someone look at the foundation adjacent to the house. And if things are discovered, then you're most certainly welcome to come back to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, next order of business. 203 Buford Street. Representative of Buford Street.
Yes, sir, that's me.
How are you today?
Just fine. I realize, I think the problem you have is with the tulip tree. But my concern is the sister to that tree, and I explained that to you when
Yes.
y'all were there,
Right.
is that during the last hurricane, the roots are shallow. And it came on my house. Cost about 40 grand to get everything repaired, the damage it had done. This tree is bigger. And my concern is if we have another huge hurricane come through, it's going to come down either on the power lines, because that's how large it is, can come on the house. And there's also a old oak tree, depending if it goes in that direction, it could wipe out the actual oak tree too, because it is that large. You know, I'm just asking to be able to take it down and get rid of it before any of this happens.
Discussion?
Charge of storms.
Wait.
Charge of storms, so I don't know when we might ever have another one. Hugo was. a bunch of years ago.
This wasn't Hugo. This was last year when it happened. And this was not even a hurricane that came through. It was, we were getting the peripheral outside bands that came through, the winds and the rain, and it soaked the ground till it just literally just started coming up because the ground was so damp.
So-
So I'm concerned that it can happen again with this one, and I just want to get it down before that happens.
And if we take out more trees, we're gonna have more dampness. More.
Oh, well, I don't know. We have, well, all my lot tends to slope, so most of the water ends up in my backyard anyway. And there's still plenty of trees back there. But, yeah, that one is the one I'm mainly concerned about. The rest of them, I know they've got to come down, but that one concerns me more really than any of them because of the height and the size of it.
The tree that fell previously, what was its general health, the trunk and limbs with?
It was fine. I mean, health-wise, it was fine. There was nothing wrong. When it grew up kind of like a V, and had a storm came through and took out one side of it, then it took out the other side, but then it continued. I just let it continue to grow. And then whenever that storm came through, when the ground got so wet, it just, because the roots, you can see a lot of the roots on the ground. And so it just, I mean, it literally went, my neighbor called me and said, oh, by the way, the tree's falling on your house.
Right.
And so I went out and looked, and I just watched it as it came down. So that one I'm just very concerned about. I know the other ones are rotted and they've got to come down, but that one I realize it's healthy, but I don't trust it, and I'm concerned.
I asked because I thought that's what you had told us when we visited you last week, that it had codominant leaders that separated at different times. And that made me wonder, because one of the things that happens to a tree when you have situations like that is that the decay in it can descend into the roots and make the roots induce root rot and make the roots less strong. When I looked at the existing poplar and looked at the roots, they are, I mean, a yellow poplar has surface roots. I mean, they're shallow rooted, and that's what they are. But so are live oaks, and of course the root system, those root systems don't give. I didn't see any root rot, and that's what I was looking for based upon what you had told us. I was looking for for any mushrooms, conchs, anything. I looked at the trunk to see if it had any signs of decay that might indicate to me that there was root rot descending into the root system. And I just didn't see it. And that's why I was curious about the other.
There was none on the other. Even the tree people, when they came out to take it off my house,
Right.
said that they were a little surprised because the roots will look great. Everything looked fine on it. It was just, he said it was just because of the amount of rain and wind was so strong that it just ripped it up. So, and that concerns me considering what I've already gone through with it. I don't want to have to go through that again with this one.
Sure.
Because if this one comes down, it's going to be a lot more damage.
Would you be interested, sir, in us asking if you get a certified arborist to come look and make an assessment on that tree with respect to the concerns you have as part of our decision?
I mean, I can, but it's not, it's not going to change how I feel.
I understand that part because you're once.
I mean,
bitten.
I'm concerned about damage to my house. And that's what concerns me the most.
Well, what I'm talking about, its proneness to damaging the house as assessed by a professional arborist.
I mean, I can do that. I mean, I'll do whatever I need to do, but I would prefer just to take the tree down.
I know that.
I think, an assessment, as he's describing from a good competent arborist on the viability of the root system. For a yellow poplar, understanding that it's a yellow poplar, is going to make our decision easier. I mean, it'll help us to determine, yeah, this gentleman's right and the root system's compromised and we need to be careful, or perhaps, no, this root system's intact and it's no reason to think that it's going to give way under normal weather conditions. A Hugo, nobody makes any guarantees about that. And even lesser storms, you never know what's going to happen, and even a smaller storm, because as you say, if the ground gets saturated and the direction of the wind makes the tree torque and move, it can cause it to fall, or it cannot. So it's a chance thing. But at any rate, hearing what a competent arborist has to say about his or her opinion on the viability of the root system and the tree in general would make it easier for us to make an informed decision.
Okay, well, hopefully you got somebody that can do that. I have no idea who to call.
Yeah, I don't think we can recommend anyone, but
We can't recommend.
but a certified arborist, and they advertise in the Yellow Pages or online. If you look up certified arborist in South Carolina and in the Charleston area, you'll find one.
Okay, all right.
And you could consider that homework. But just trying to cover all the bases. And it's always best for us to have as much information as possible before a decision to make, whether it's you making the decisions or us making a call. It's just good to have as much information as you can.
Hey, I have all I need for myself. I know what I need and what I've got. But if that's what I got to do, that's fine. What about the rest of them?
Okay, we'll make a motion to that extent, but I want to quickly ask also, did you think there was some lightening the load, so to speak, on that tree as well?
Therapeutic pruning is always good when it's needed. I didn't see anything outrageously
No, there wasn't
needed in that
big
tree.
ramicorns, no.
I mean, I really didn't. But again, a competent arborist who's going to be studying that and recommend that.
That would be another question, whether you could lighten the load by thinning out some of the branches. Because again, I know yellow poplar that are great big leaves, the wind's blowing like crazy, got all these branches and it's just a big sail. Yes, I understand. It's one of my favorite trees, even because of that. But that consideration would be good for the arborist to look as well.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion that we permit the other tree removals and await decision on the yellow poplar until a certified arborist claims to what extent we need to address the tree further.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Yes, you have a second.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you very
Motion
much.
passes. Thank you, sir. And now we have Carroll Court.
Good morning. I'm Alan Woods, my wife Becky. We live at Carroll Court, 109 Carroll Court. We own Carroll Court, have for about 16 years. And we would like to get a permit to build a small guest cottage there. We're not asking to cut down any trees. And
Real quick, did y'all want them to consider this site plan or the revised one? Okay.
Revised, please.
we have,
No,
we have created in the last few days a revised site plan,
okay.
kind of hastily put together, but it will show a compromise situation, we hope. As you notice over toward the center of the lot in the rear, there's a shed, 12 by 24 feet, a wooden shed, one of these that you buy from a place and they deliver it. Been there ever since we purchased the house. Well, anyway, we are proposing to reposition the cottage and the carport in a different fashion and encompass it in the shed and actually remove the shed and build a garage, single car garage there in place of the shed. So that would was something we were planning on doing at a later date, but in order to compromise with the tree board and get the cottage, out from under the trees as much as it was, and position it differently. We didn't want to butt it up to the old shed. We would like to just remove the shed and put in a new garage in place of it at that area. So do all the work at one time. And of course, lessen lessen the proximity to any trees.
That's a good plan. It might very much change from when we were out there last week. So yes.
Yeah, we changed it after that. You were out there, what, Wednesday? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we changed it after that. We worked on it like Friday and Saturday. Maybe Thursday and Friday.
And then you'll see that the access is already there. We won't be adding any additional.
Right, and that was one of our concerns was not just the existence of the shed as you originally had it, which if it just dropped down, it probably would have been fine, but you got a bunch of fill. It's going to affect the roots. You got big truck coming in, driving over the roots, not only of that, but the tree that's right on the side of the road. So that's all eliminated now by using the road. That's perfect.
It is. It's all eliminated traffic in that area, construction traffic. Now, we're only building a 660 square foot gas cottage. It's not a tremendous structure. Of course, we're adding to it a little bit now with the garage, but it's more toward the house and completely away from the trees that were in question.
We see that, and that was why this was brought to our attention, was simply to protect the root system within the drip line. I believe that's been done by the change of your position and your construction plan. So I'm not sure that this even requires a vote, since we were asked to evaluate the impact on the tree on the original position, but on this position here, it appears to me that there's little or none.
I mean, if you were to vote, it would just be that you are okay with the revised plan and the relocation of the cottage, but
Go ahead and do that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consideration of the location of the building with respect to the trees.
Because I'm a neighbor just across Carroll Court, I'm going to recuse myself.
I'll second it.
All those in favor of the motion to be comfortable with the placement of the building, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
commend you for your willingness to compromise, make adjustments.
Thank you.
It's commendable.
Thank you. Good day.
You too. I'm sorry, Becca, I sort of jumped ahead there
That's okay.
on the order of business.
Were we still gonna hear that one? 1,000?
Was there another one in between?
Number 4.
I thought it was
No,
just,
they did.
yeah.
Okay.
We just get-
So that was one of the ones who didn't pay.
No,
No,
they
they
Oh.
did.
Oh, okay.
Shinnecock Hills Court.
Yeah.
We skipped that.
Okay, but there's not a representative here today. But thoughts? Talk about the Willow Oak first.
Bill? I'm trying to reel myself into it. Okay, I got it. I know where I'm at now. The willow oak in the front, I need to get on speaker. so-
I can hear you. Oh,
The-
okay.
Recording.
Recording. The willow oak in the front yard is a healthy tree. It is kind of close to the sidewalk and the driveway, but it's no serious damage on either one of those. I mean, the cracks in the sidewalk aren't right at the tree, and it's hard to say if the tree caused the cracks or if it's just settling or stress cracks in the cement. So as far as the willow goes, it's health-wise, it's in good health. It could use some thinning out to unload the load of it and get some limbs off the house, would make that, would be my recommendations for it. And we have a pine tree in the backyard. It's a very healthy pine tree, and somebody's gone to a great extent to save it. And as building their deck around it. It's
They did a job.
it's a 22-inch grand pine tree. But it is close to the house. Click on another slide there, might have dimensions from the house. Yeah, 7 foot from the house. These are new owners here and they're concerned about both of these trees with their new house, and you could understand that. That's about my evaluation of it.
Any thoughts beyond what Bill said?
Regarding the willow oak in the front, if we talk about that first, certainly we could suggest that if they're concerned about the driveway, that they look at the possibility of root pruning away from the driveway, but I see no reason to remove that tree. It could use some care and maybe a little root pruning and a maintenance program after that pruning by a competent arborist. And then the pine tree in the back, I understand a new homeowner's concern, but again, it's healthy, and
The accommodations have been made.
that's right. That's right. And they can, I would suggest that they have a maintenance, put that on a maintenance program as well, every 2-year removing deadwood as it occurs. That's my thoughts.
Well, the willow oak definitely could use some pruning. There's really not any evidence that the roots may be cracking the driveway. And I do know that area of Pine Forest, that development, they have had driveway issues in the past, so we're not tree related at all with cracking driveways. Pine tree, a little bit on the fence. There is a lot more pine trees in the yard. It is 7 feet from the house, but it is a very healthy tree.
I agree. The only thoughts I would have are that, number one, and the framing is so substantial underneath on that deck that it would accommodate an expansion of the area, allowing the tree to sway a little bit more, not crack the deck. That needs to be enlarged for the tree's sake too, over time. And being that close to the house, we're always wanting to advise that if there's any evidence that there's any damage to the house from the roots, that ought to be looked at. So that's another consideration that it can't be forgotten. And but other than that, I prefer to not see the trees removed. So I'll just make a motion that we don't approve removal of the trees, but highly recommend examining the foundation with respect to the pine tree intrusion of roots, and also to accommodate by enlarging the hole in the deck for the pine bowl.
I second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Amaryllis. Any other miscellaneous thoughts whatsoever? Okay. Do I have a motion? Second.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay.
Thank you, sir.